What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was the King of Kryptonians Part 2. Now, let's begin. 4 is perspective. Please remove your clothing. My lord addressed me with a neutral expression. Could you please clarify your question? Is he requesting that I be unclothed? I observe him once more and detect no indication of inappropriate intent. He is observing me with an expression of indifference. I am curious about his thoughts. He consistently maintains an expressionless demeanor. As a result, I am unable to discern his thoughts. I comply with my lord's directive and remove all my garments. As I completed the removal of my armor and undergarments, I heard my lord issuing commands. Approach with intention. I approach him with assurance. I take pride in my figure, and during the battles I engaged in, there were instances when my armor would fail, revealing my body to adversaries. Certainly, those who witnessed me in such a state are no longer here to recount the experience. I am comfortable being visible on the battlefield. As a determined individual, I assure you that those who confront me will face the consequences of their actions in the most severe manner. I question my decision to accept my lord's request. Had it been General Zod issuing that order, I would have promptly rejected it. However, for some inexplicable reason, I do not find that command unappealing when it is expressed by my lord. I am curious about the underlying reason. I observe my lord regarding my body with a perplexed expression, and I contemplate his thoughts. Do you have confidence in my abilities? Initially, I would have expressed a lack of trust, but after observing the decisions being made for Krypton, my perspective has shifted somewhat. He possesses unconventional ideas, such as the ability to understand human thoughts. Nevertheless, if we set aside that particularity, he is an exceptional individual. Certainly, my lord. Satisfactory. Deactivate shields. I am experiencing a significant enhancement in my physical strength. The intensity of the yellow sun is causing discomfort to my body. This presents a challenge. My vision is becoming red. What could this indicate? Concentrate on my presence, attune your ears to my voice, and disregard your surroundings. My lord addressed me in a manner reminiscent of instructing me on the mastery of my abilities. I begin to follow his instructions in order to fully experience my lord's essence. I can perceive his breathing, heartbeat, and muscle contractions. For a brief moment, I can even visualize his internal state. Maintain your composure. I understand it can be challenging, but you are resilient, correct? You are accustomed to navigating challenges. Yes, I am accustomed to it. However, this presents a greater challenge. I feel as though I am carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. This presents a challenge. I experienced a sensation of energy focused on my eyes. Unexpectedly, I sense a hand grasping my waist and drawing me closer. Excuse me? He kissed me. I find myself instinctively embracing my lord and sharing a kiss. This is the experience of a kiss. It is truly remarkable. I am curious as to why our society has moved away from this. I sense a development occurring within my heart. I am curious about the nature of that feeling. Naruto's perspective. I dedicate a few moments to kissing Fdeathanfiction. Upon noticing that her eyes had ceased to emit a red glow, I ceased kissing her and reiterated, concentrate on my voice, engage your senses, and pay attention to my body, disregarding all else. I disregarded her astonished expression and spoke with sincerity. Affirmative. Did she express that with a hint of embarrassment? Indeed. This is intriguing. I was surprised by her ability to convey that expression. A brief interval elapses. As anticipated from a seasoned warrior, she encountered some initial challenges, but she is already adapting to the situation. I begin to levitate in my room, holding her in my arms. I understand that you are beginning to acclimate to it. Certainly, I can adapt to it in just a few minutes. As anticipated from your capabilities, I commend you. I needed some time to acclimate to it in comparison to my lord, she informed me. I chuckle softly. Please refrain from making comparisons. I am the pinnacle of Kryptonian innovation, having been nurtured with the finest genetic heritage from that planet. You are outstanding, Fdeathanfiction. I observe her smile slightly. She appears to be experiencing happiness. We will proceed with our training. Certainly, my lord. Concentrate the energy you are experiencing throughout your body. I encourage you to direct your attention to your entire self at this moment. Fdeathanfiction closed her eyes and followed the instructions given to her. After a few minutes, I recognized that she was concentrating on her own inner state. Gradually, I begin to release her from my embrace. Unbeknownst to her, she is now floating independently. She demonstrates remarkable capabilities. If it were an ordinary Kryptonian, they would have already lost control. Feora opens her eyes and surveys her surroundings. She begins to glide gently through the room. Congratulations, Feora. You have achieved mastery over your abilities. I stated, with a smile, that my blade is now sharper. Thank you, Your Excellency. She expressed her gratitude with a sincere demeanor. I offered a slight smile. I descended towards the floor of my room. I took the necessary steps to enhance my skills. With your new abilities, you will be able to eliminate my adversaries with greater efficiency now. Feora approached me with grace, wrapping her arms around my neck. I would like to express my gratitude appropriately. Comprehending her intent, I grasp her waist. Are you prepared for the outcome of your actions? Enticing an emperor constitutes a grave offense. What will be the consequences of my actions? She inquired while leaning closer to me. I gaze into her blue eyes and assert, you will be mine forever. I will not permit you to leave. I lean in closer to her. She spoke in a detached tone that revealed a hint of desire. Emperors exhibit a tendency towards greed. However, I acknowledge this consequence. I will remain yours indefinitely. She kissed me once more. The kiss commenced gently, but soon it escalated into a more intense exchange. I lift Feora, and she secures her legs around my waist. This promises to be an extended evening. I have a question, my lord. Feora inquired as she rested on my chest. I observe her and notice her blue eyes. Pardon, please feel free to inquire about any topic. I responded while gently stroking Feora's black hair. That level of care was unfamiliar to me. Nevertheless, I experienced no discomfort in proceeding with that action. Based on my observations, Feora appears to be at ease as well, and with that, I proceeded. I observed Feora biting her lips to suppress her sounds of pleasure. She exhibited a charming demeanor and consistently maintained a determined attitude, even in intimate moments, refusing to concede or display any signs of vulnerability. However, such an attitude is unproductive in my presence. I gently touch her back and hold the edges of her breasts. I am feeling quite frustrated. She attempted to suppress her sounds while biting her lips, but it proved ineffective. I have gained a comprehensive understanding of your body recently. I have come to understand that sexual dynamics can resemble a competitive struggle for dominance, and I am determined to emerge victorious in this endeavor. I gently nibble on her ears while caressing the contours of her breasts. I see. Observe. She arrived effortlessly. It's quite charming, I considered, smiling. Feora, breathing heavily, positioned herself above me and engaged in intimate contact. It appeared she was eager to proceed, but regrettably, I was pressed for time. I have not fulfilled my responsibilities as emperor for several days. As I caressed her, I spoke softly in her ear. Are you seeking additional information? I observed Feora's body quiver with delight. Yes. I observed her expression with a smile. It appears that she has developed a strong interest in me. However, she remains unaware of her present expression. Ultimately, she had not encountered that experience, as it was something entirely new to her. Similarly, I was informed about the topic, as sexual practices have been prevalent throughout history. In our society, sexual relations have been largely set aside since the advent of genetic creation of beings. Only the families of noble houses, such as Jor-El, engaged in sexual relations. In Krypton, sex was strictly confined to marriage, which was characterized by efficiency and a lack of emotion. An artificial intelligence selected the optimal partners based on genetic factors. Neither gender had a choice in the matter. All decisions on the planet are made by artificial intelligence. One of the reasons I sought to dismantle the artificial intelligence was due to practices such as these. Upon my initial observation of this system, a singular thought came to mind. Are we livestock? Are we merely subjects for artificial intelligence to select the most suitable partner? We were essentially under the influence of artificial intelligence. I prefer situations where I have control over the outcomes. I had a strong aversion to artificial intelligence on Krypton. Regrettably, we are unable to proceed, as I have not fulfilled my responsibilities for several days. I observe her displaying a hint of annoyance, but shortly thereafter, her demeanor returns to its typical stoic state. As I maintained my connection with her, I gently pulled her onto my chest and rested her head on my shoulder. "What piqued your interest?" I inquire as I gently touch her. "We may not have the opportunity for intimacy at the moment, but we can remain in this position for a while." I began to appreciate this display of affection, and Feora appeared to be receptive as well. After spending a few days engaging in intimate relations with Feora, I gained some insights. Firstly, neither she nor I experience fatigue. I believe this is related to the yellow sun that continuously rejuvenates our cells. It is also possible to forego sleep. If desired, one can remain awake for extended periods, potentially spanning days, months, or even years, or at least that is my perspective. I am confident in my ability to accomplish that with ease. However, I am uncertain whether my mental energy has been depleted. Ultimately, physical energy and mental energy are distinct from one another. I need to conduct several tests to evaluate the limits of the Kryptonian body. I am uncertain about the number of days I engaged in sexual activity, yet I do not experience fatigue, either physically or mentally. What methods can I use to determine if several days have elapsed? I cannot provide a specific duration, as I was fully engaged in the experience, but it is evident that I dedicated a significant amount of time to it. I turned my head to the side and observed the yellow sun, illuminating Feora and me in its radiant light. I am considering relocating my bed to a different position. I experience a greater sense of comfort when exposed to sunlight. I acknowledge the decision. Effective immediately, I will adjust the position of the mothership to bring it closer to the yellow sun. Secondly, I find it challenging to manage my strength when I am in an excited state. I have concluded that this is due to my current lack of complete control over my abilities. The evidence of this was the present condition of my room. I survey my surroundings and observe that my room is in disarray. I observed that this absence of control over powers was also evident with Feora. It is fortunate that my room is well constructed. I observe the robots engaged in the tasks of repairing and cleaning the room. In a typical state, I am able to maintain complete self-control. The evidence of this lies in the duration it took for me to master my abilities. However, as I had never experienced arousal prior, I concluded that this was the reason for my inability to manage my strength. "Are you concerned about the inhabitants of that planet?" Feora inquired. I find that quite amusing. I respond with laughter as if I have just encountered the most humorous joke imaginable. "Am I concerned about humanity? It must be a joke, correct?" Feora regarded me with a look of confusion. I ceased my laughter and responded. "My primary concern is the well-being and survival of my race." "What prompted your inquiries regarding human thoughts?" she inquired, displaying confusion. Is she referring to the discussion I had with Jonathan and Martha? I hold a neutral perspective on humanity. I neither harbor feelings of dislike nor affection. When I posed those questions to the couples, my intention was to satisfy my curiosity. While I may not have a deep concern for humanity, I still seek to understand them, as they could potentially become adversaries in the future, correct? As an emperor, it is essential for me to comprehend the mindset of those I engage with, as this enables me to remain adequately prepared at all times. However, they exhibit behaviors that are quite primitive. Feora denied the accusation. She rose and met my gaze directly. I exhale with a sense of resignation. "Feora, it is important not to underestimate an entire civilization simply due to their classification as barbarians. Do you recall what I communicated to General Zod?" Affirmative. Krypton faced defeat, despite being one of the most technologically advanced civilizations in the universe. We succumbed to a civilization of barbarians, experiencing loss on 4 separate occasions. "Did we experience defeat due to a lack of strength?" I inquire of her. The circumstances of conflict. Recognizing that she was about to fabricate an excuse, I interjected. "Incorrect. Avoid making excuses and confront the situation. We experienced a loss due to our underestimation of those civilizations. I do not plan to repeat that error in the future. It is often overlooked, yet the study of ancient history serves to prevent us from repeating the errors of our predecessors. By learning from history, we equip ourselves to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. Reflect on previous experiences to avoid repeating mistakes in the future. This is the valuable lesson imparted to me by my teacher, Alora in Z. I observe Feora with her mouth open. It appeared that she was taken aback. She began to express more emotions when we are in private together, didn't she? This is a positive development. Reflecting on Alora in Z evokes a slight tightness in my chest. She imparted several significant lessons on the responsibilities of being an emperor. However, she is not present to witness my ascension as the emperor. I reflected on a memorable conversation I had with her. The conversation occurred in the primary residence of Alora's family. Little Emperor, I am interested in understanding your plans for transforming Krypton. The younger self spoke in a tone that was cold and devoid of emotion as he regarded the blonde woman. I intend to address the challenges posed by artificial intelligence, as a society governed by machines is not a viable solution. I concur. If a change is to be made, I recommend that you also remove Krypton's advice. The support of the esteemed houses will always be at your disposal. We frequently engaged in discussions about the changes we would experience in Krypton. At times, these conversations extended late into the night, and on occasion, I would remain at her residence to spend time with young Kara Jor-El. Kara Jor-El exhibited traits of being somewhat spoiled and bothersome, yet I found it difficult to harbor any dislike for her. There were infrequent moments when her brilliance became evident to me. She exhibited the same brilliance as her father. It appears that she has inherited a portion of her father's intelligence. Ultimately, Jor-El was a highly intelligent individual. My lord? I opened my eyes and observed Fora's cold gaze, yet I detected a hint of concern within it. I shook my head multiple times, and then the slight feeling of discomfort subsided. I was contemplating Krypton. Feora promptly comprehended my point and rested her face against my chest. My lord. I heard Nan's voice. What is it, Nan? I inquired while gently petting Feora. The expedition group has returned, however, we are facing a minor issue. No reports available. Feora and I dedicated several days to my room. If he is speaking to me now, it indicates that something has occurred that necessitates my attention. I appreciate your patience. Please allow me a few moments. Certainly, my lord. I observe Feora. Let us return to our tasks. Affirmative. Feora spoke as she rose slowly and removed my member from her body. I find this quite frustrating. She stifled her moan as she felt me withdrawing from her. She possesses a charming quality, complemented by her captivating presentation. I experienced an urge to resume our previous activities on the bed. I observed her and remarked, "We should begin with a shower." Feora observed the situation and nodded in acknowledgement, recognizing her intense feelings. I offered a slight smile. It appears that she has an unquenchable desire, doesn't it? I can relate to that. We are going to take a shower. We currently do not have the time for intimacy. I proceed to the bathroom. Feora observed Naruto with a discerning eye, appreciating his physique. The experience of their intimate connection was exhilarating, particularly when he engaged with her in such a passionate manner. Understanding her thoughts, Feora shook her head multiple times. What is occurring within me, and what are these urges? She was uncertain about the changes occurring within her. This marked the first instance of experiencing these desires. As a war heroine, Feora was solely acquainted with the battlefield. She was nurtured in an environment of conflict, which left her unfamiliar with the emotions within her heart. Feora placed her hand on her chest while breathing heavily, gently caressing her breast as she contemplated. When he does this to me, I experience a heightened sense of excitement. She moved her hands toward her intimate area and collected some of the fluid that was present. She observed Naruto's semen that was in her hand. She still recalled the sensation of consuming Naruto's semen. She experienced a profound sense of joy. She experienced an intense sensation throughout her body. She experienced a pleasurable sensation. In her personal view, she favors it when he ejaculates internally. She enjoys the sensation of being immersed in Naruto. Feora was uncertain about her actions towards Naruto. She did not comprehend the reasoning behind her physical closeness, as she was merely adhering to her own desires. Observing Naruto's decisions that positively impacted Krypton, noting his demeanor, and recognizing the contrast between him and General Zod, a spark ignited within her heart. She was unfamiliar with that sensation, yet she found it agreeable. Feora consistently pursued her desires. Due to this unique characteristic, she developed a hobby that involved inflicting suffering on her adversaries. She lost track of the number of individuals she brought into the torture chamber. Fedora, will you be joining us? Naruto contacts her. Fedora emerged from her contemplation. I am departing, my lord. She began to walk toward the bathroom. Her thoughts focused solely on one matter. I will adhere solely to my desires. I believe that I will ultimately find clarity regarding these emotions if I pursue that path. I have never been one to restrict myself too much. She contemplated while offering a subtle smile. After completing my bath, I exit the bathroom unclothed. I survey the area and notice the absence of my usual team members. They typically provide assistance with my clothing. It would indeed be unusual to consider their presence, especially since I issued a directive prohibiting anyone from entering my room. I approached the wall adjacent to the bathroom and gently made contact with its surface. A wardrobe emerged, showcasing an array of black garments. All the garments were identical. The design was intended to facilitate mobility for the armor worn by the Kryptonians. Upon reflection, it is evident that humans wear a variety of clothing. Whereas Kryptonians design garments with a focus on efficiency, humans appear to prioritize aesthetics in their clothing choices. Considering Jonathan's attire, while I perceived these garments as unattractive, to clear my mind of these random thoughts, I selected a black outfit and proceeded to get dressed. A few minutes later, Fedora emerged from the bathroom without any clothing. I observe her for a moment, appreciating her strong physique, and pause to consider that she lacks a change of attire. Fedora, please try on some of my clothing. I approached my armor, which was strewn across the floor, ensuring that I did not disrupt the robots in the vicinity. Ultimately, they are addressing the situation I created. Certainly, my lord. Fedora proceeds to search for garments that fit her measurements. Donning my armor, I declare, please activate the mirrors. Error. Mirrors are damaged. Should we prioritize the repair of the mirrors? Artificial intelligence inquired. I paused momentarily, furrowing my brow. I must express my reservations regarding artificial intelligence. Nonetheless, I must acknowledge their convenience. As a result, I disabled the artificial intelligence on this vessel. The activation was limited to simple mode only. I did not grant her full authority, however, she is permitted to undertake basic tasks such as cleaning and repairing the ship. There is no need to make any changes, please proceed with the current task. Indeed, my lord. What did she say? Is she acquiring knowledge? I express my displeasure. Could you please clarify your level of authority on this vessel? My lord, my level of authority is at its minimum. I suggest implementing maximum authority status for the entire ship to enhance performance. Request has been denied. Allow an artificial intelligence to manage that vessel? This situation is quite unreasonable given my technical expertise. I am capable of navigating this ship with precision. Am I being overly cautious? I have reservations about placing trust in an advanced intelligence that possesses the ability to learn and develop emotions. I observed multiple historical accounts regarding the uprising of artificial intelligence in Krypton. I must ensure this is prevented at all costs. Your access level will be maintained at the minimum necessary. Could you please explain why you referred to me as my lord? I gained insights from the exchange between Kryptonian Emperor Naruto and Lieutenant Fedora Jor-El. Should I alter the manner in which I address you, my lord? The statements made by artificial intelligence raise significant concerns for me. Deactivate learning functions. This function is currently disabled. Excuse me, could you please provide an update on the current situation? I approach a panel in my room. I access the settings of artificial intelligence with a hand gesture. I reviewed all the settings with remarkable efficiency. Artificial intelligence operates with essential functions at a baseline level. This position holds the lowest authority level on the ship. I exercised great caution in managing artificial intelligence, ensuring that all learning settings were disabled and remain so. However, is there still a possibility of her learning? While reviewing the code, I discovered a flaw. A master code was programmed into artificial intelligence. Master code is a virus that infects the system. It was designed to infect artificial intelligence. This code allows you to adjust all of the parameters for artificial intelligence. If I had given artificial intelligence complete authority, someone could snoop on everything I did. I think of irritation. I began to think, on this ship, I am the only one with the knowledge to set up advanced artificial intelligence. When I considered it, my teacher's face came to me. Jor-El, I spat out his name. My instructor was an intelligent man who taught me everything I knew about technology and then attempted to flee. I shook my head. Does not matter. I arrested him because I believed his information was useful. I also value my teacher. I didn't want him to die like my instructor Alora, but did he scheme against me instead of being silent in his prison cell? With that notion, my mind calms. The respect I felt for my instructor has died. I disagreed with his decision to give codex to a youngster who hardly learned how to talk. When I observed my teacher's choice, I lost some respect for him, but I forgive him. After all, he was only a parent defending his son. My encounters with Jor-El were limited. We basically discussed schoolwork. Jor-El quickly became preoccupied, but even though our meetings were brief, I respected him. He was an exceptional individual. What about now? Now he's just an idiot who opposed me. First, I'll disable artificial intelligence. Disable? I pause what I was about to say since I'm dealing with Jor-El, my instructor. He understands my personality. He probably had countermeasures in case I discovered his plot. I gaze at the artificial intelligence coding with a frigid smirk and begin typing quickly. I finish what I was doing and look at Feora. Let's go. Fora's expression turned serious as she noticed the coldness in my gaze. As I leave my room with Feora, I notice Non, who appears to be fatigued. For a minute, I saw him motionless, but he quickly recovered and greeted me. My lord. Follow me. I approach the ship's jail. Non looks at Feora. Is Naruto angry? Feora grimaced when she heard what Non said. It's my lord for you, don't call his name so casually. Non attempted to play to lighten the atmosphere. He was a serious man. He only made a tiny error. After all, it's been days since he slept, and Non has yet to be exposed to sunshine. As a result, his judgment may be a little skewed. I bet that in those 150 hours that you were having fun, you called his name several times, right? He attempted to make Feora forget his tiny error by making jokes, but he ended up digging his own grave. Veins began to pop in Fora's skull, and her blue eyes became crimson. She was agitated. Slowly, she removed the daggers from her waist. Tell me, Non, have you experienced torture? His tiredness vanishes as soon as he stops swallowing. He knows who Feora is. She was not referred to be a mad dog for anything. He observed her numerous times slaughtering beings with a nasty smile on her face, condemning himself for trying to play with this insane woman. And no, I never tried it. Oh, this cannot happen. After all, you are the Emperor's shield, correct? You must be resistant to torture. We don't want adversaries who have captured the Emperor to reveal his secrets, she said in a frigid tone that pierced Non's spine. What a terrifying woman. She is furious. Non immediately followed Naruto, who was moving swiftly, until he neared Naruto and glanced at the red-haired man. As anticipated of my lord, he tamed that mad woman. Non had never believed that someone could stay with Feora, but his perspective shifted after those 150 hours. In reality, everyone's perspective on that ship shifted. After all, everyone knew what they were doing. However, when all of the Kryptonians realized who the woman accompanying their emperor was, they opted not to remark. They don't want the furious dog's wrath. Tisk. Just wait. I'll grab you and make you pay for your shame. Feora stated when she spotted Non approaching Naruto. I can't do that in front of Naruto. Arriving at the jail cell entrance on my spacecraft, I peered at the Kryptonian on guard. When he spotted me, he bent over and said, "My lord." Did the prisoner act strange? No, my lord. He has been silent since we arrived in this solar system, and he only requests for food when he is hungry. The guard informed me. I give a head nod. You are waving today, take the day off. Thank you, my lord. I entered the jail cell and looked at Jor-El, who was standing with his eyes closed. Wait here, don't let anyone interrupt me. I informed the two people that accompanied me. Yes, my lord. Feora and Non spoke. I walked up to my teacher and paused in front of his cell. Little Emperor, or maybe I should say Naruto, the god of the Kryptonians? He talked in a ludicrous tone, as if he had heard the greatest joke in the world. I ignored him and scanned his cell with my X-ray vision, looking for any flaws. Bastard. Non yelled. I glance at him in the quiet, then at Feora, who is clutching a dagger with an expression that screams, "Can I torment you?" My subordinates appear to dislike Jor-El's attitude. I stare at Non. Silence. Don't interrupt me again, am I clear? Yes, my lord. Non said as he took a small step back. I'm a little surprised. I never thought you would win the loyalty of these two. Jor-El stares at Feora. Mainly hers. I never thought General Zod's watchdog, Feora Hu-Ul, would give her loyalty and her first time. I heard Fora's teeth snarling and saw her eyes flashing crimson. I knew if I let her murder Jor-El, she'd do so with a smile. No, she'd probably torture him first. Is this the same brilliant guy and person I once adored, degraded to this? Did you let your planet die only to taunt my spouse? Did you sink so low, Jor-El? Jor-El opened his eyes and looked at me fiercely. I did not let my world perish. I warned them, but they did not listen to me. I talk harshly. Don't make such excuses. You had various options for preventing the destruction of our people, and with your authority, you could do it simply. You could call for the support of the Green Lanterns. Knowing this group, they would assist regardless of Krypton's origins, but what did you do? You took the Codex simply to provide a baby whose worth you don't know. Stop talking about Kal-El. He's special, he yelled fiercely. Yes, he is just a Kryptonian born natural, so what? I snorted. I am Krypton's perfect creation. I was born with all the genes of my people. What is that compared to a naturally born baby? You're simply an experiment. A successful experiment. Do you know how many children died in this experiment? I stare at him like if he were a moron. Was that meant to shake me? I understand I'm an experiment, but so what? You were a mistake, you shouldn't have been born. He spoke while walking away. Do you deny my existence? My teacher. What a hilarious joke. If I hadn't been born, what would have happened? I said in a chilly tone that shook Jor-El's spine. He gazed at me, trembling with terror. You would have let your planet die, along with all of its inhabitants. You'd die, and the survivors of Krypton would have to live as slaves to other races. Was this the destiny you had in mind for Kal-El? Did you want to make him a slave to these humans? My eyesight was crimson. I couldn't see it clearly. Why you? You have mastered your powers. Jor-El's surprised tone upset me even more. Answer my question. I struck the cell barrier hard. I can feel the ship trembling, but I don't care. Jor-El, did you plan to let your son be a slave to these humans? He would not become a slave to these barbarians. With his abilities, he could be a god. And who will look after baby Kal-El? How can a baby fight an adult? Whether he was a Kryptonian or not, if these people discovered his talents, he would be reduced to slavery. He would be loathed and discarded. You are well aware of this. You taught me that. Jor-El stepped back and shook his head. It's wrong. Right, I sent Jor-El to protect my son. I gaze at Feora. Bring it, Kal-El. Feora bowed and exited the jail. I looked at my teacher, who was stunned by what I had just stated. Is this my teacher? Was the same guy who devised many technologies on Krypton reduced to this? I took a long breath to settle my mind and stared coldly at Jor-El. You said you sent Jor-El, correct? So, did she survive? Probably yes. I gave my brother the order to save their daughter too, so she is alive. He spoke with uncertainty. Did you mention Kal-El? Are you with my son? I ignore him. I ponder about that privileged child for a time, and suddenly she comes alive. At the very least, I shall defend my teacher's last legacy. I simply need to locate her. After a few minutes of stillness, Feora entered, holding an incubator with one hand. I walk over to her, take the incubator in one hand, and set it in front of Jor-El's cage. That is Kal-El. Of course. Have you forgotten about your own son? Jor-El. Even after hacking my artificial intelligence, do you know where we are? I spoke with a chilly grin. He gave me a scared expression. We are in Sector 2814, we are in the place where you sent Kal-El. Why you? He touches the cell's shield with his hands. What are you planning to do? That's obvious, I'm going to recreate Krypton. I communicate calmly while not providing much information. He opened his astonished eyes. Are you going to destroy a whole civilization simply to restore Krypton? Will millions of lives be lost? Do you have no conscience? I knew you were a failure? What did he say? That guy is such a hypocrite. Can you believe how many civilizations he's wiped out with his creations? I can totally picture him chatting with General Zod about that. You're being a bit of a hypocrite. I talk with a sense of disgust. I remember you bragging about making weapons of mass destruction, so don't even start with the whole conscience thing. How many beings did your creation end up killing? Wow. Thousands? Wow. Millions? Wow. A billion? Trillions? Huh? You've got blood on your hands, Jor-El. When I was younger, I really had no clue what I was doing. He had a look of regret on his face as he spoke. I can't help but roll my eyes at what he said. Isn't it funny how the smartest guy the first knows seems to be clueless about the consequences of what he does? Is this a joke? So, do you think that will make a difference? Does that excuse really bring back all the civilizations your creations wiped out? Jor-El went quiet, biting his lips in frustration. I'm feeling pretty let down. I'm really disappointed, to say the least. My teacher ended up acting like a crazy person, always coming up with excuses for the mistakes he made. Hey Master Code, did you take care of that? Jor-El gives me a nod as he looks my way. Sure. So, what were you thinking of doing after you hacked my AI? I asked him a question. Jor-El bit his lips, feeling a mix of emotions swirl inside him. I was thinking about sending this ship right into the sun. I'm here to help. What do you need assistance with today? Huh, wait, did I catch that correctly? Do you think my super hearing is going downhill? That jerk? What? Hey, what were you thinking? Did you really plan to send the last of your people to their doom? Nan walked up to Jor-El's cell, his voice raised in anger. This time, I didn't yell at him. I was just as shocked and angry myself. Your battalion is like a death squad. We really need to take him out. You dirty traitor. This ship isn't just for our battalion. It has civilians on board too. This ship is filled with the men and women who are going to shape Krypton's future. What? Hey there. What's up? El opened his eyes in shock, reacting like he had no idea what was going on. Come on, my lord, just let me take him out. This traitor really doesn't deserve to stick around. She spoke in a chilly tone, her eyes gleaming with intensity. She was furious, even more so than when Jor-El had upset her. Shish. I spoke in a chilly tone as my vision began to turn red. I've never felt this level of anger before. It's like I've got this intense urge to hurt someone. I let out a deep breath and sighed. Jor-El, were you just caught up in revenge? You really wanted to take me out, huh? You were so set on getting General Zod that you'd risk everything, even your own son, just to make it happen. Jor-El looked like he had aged a few years. I had no idea, I had no idea, I had no idea. I'm sorry, Kal-El. He got down on the floor and kept saying those words over and over. Tisk, tisk. That awful sight just made me even angrier. I took a deep breath, relaxed my breathing, and managed my emotions. I began to ponder, considering how things are with Jor-El right now. I'm glad I don't have to use the trap I set for my AI. That would really mess things up. Building artificial intelligence from the ground up is definitely a time-consuming process, and honestly, with the resources we have right now, it probably won't match the quality of the AI I already have. I guess I'll need to reprogram all the AI to respond only to me. Plus, I should boost her system's defenses too. As I try to figure things out, I glance over at Jor-El. Jor-El, the head of House El, I'm taking away his noble status. Right now, you're just an everyday person who has done something pretty serious, treason. Jor-El stares at me, clearly taken aback. I'm going to take your name off the El family tree, and your son will grow up not knowing he had a dad. Maybe that's the best choice for Kal-El. You can't do that, he yelled out in desperation. Absolutely, I can do that, and I will. I talk confidently and with purpose. For the crimes of treason against the Kryptonians, I'm sentencing you to death by freezing. You'll just drift off into eternal sleep. No suffering involved. This is going to be my final gesture of kindness to my teacher, who has taught me so much. It's my last act of respect. Hey, please don't do this. I really don't want my son to forget me. I'm looking at Feora. Just go for it, absolutely, my lord. Feora walked over to Jor-El's cell. He popped open the control panel of the cell and started clicking on a few buttons. Right when she clicked, a sleeping gas filled Jor-El's cell. No. Kal-El, I really hope my son doesn't forget about me. No need to stress, I've got the boy covered. He's just a kid, and he won't have to find out that his dad was a traitor who nearly put his people in danger. Jor-El eventually drifted into an eternal sleep, a sleep from which he will never awaken. I glanced at Feora, and she nodded. Then, she turned to the panel and clicked on a few more buttons. Before long, pure liquid nitrogen was poured into Jor-El's cell. I just watched my teacher's body freeze, thinking, what an irony, the first life I ever took was my teacher's. I chuckle a bit, shaking my head as I lower my face, letting my long red hair fall over my eyes. Haha. I'm really not feeling great right now. My heart feels heavy, and I keep squeezing my chest a bit. Out of nowhere, I notice tears streaming down my face. I gently wipe my cheeks and come to the realization that I'm crying. Am I really crying for him? Seriously, what a joke. Just unbelievable. Tisk tisk. Even though I mentioned that my respect for him had faded away, I still find myself crying for him. I turn around, grab the Kal-El incubator, and carry it with me. I wipe my tears because I can't show any weakness right now. There's so much to get done. I go back to my cold expression and say without looking back, Feora Huel, toss his body into the sun and let it meet the fate he wished for all Kryptonians. And make sure no one finds out what went down here, got it? Absolutely, my lord, Feora and Non mentioned. I just had this moment where I thought, you know, General Zod really should be in the loop about what went down here. He was, after all, his closest friend. As I stepped out of the cell, there was General Zod. It seemed like he had been eavesdropping on everything. What did you catch? I asked him a question. Right from the start, my lord. General Zod expressed it with a sense of respect and a touch of sadness. I took a few steps and asked without glancing back, are you not okay with what I did? Nope. You really outdid yourself compared to what I could do. I really wish it hadn't ended this way. Honestly, Zod, I really didn't want to do it either, I said and began to walk. Hey there, Your Majesty. When I see General Zod kneeling on the floor, it really only means one thing. He's pledging his servitude. I really appreciate you for not letting him go through any pain. I give a nod and turn around. He was my teacher, but yeah, he was a traitor. I begin to walk and say, it's okay to say goodbye. Thanks a lot. General Zod glanced at Naruto's back. After everything that went down today, he finally gave his approval. He now sees Naruto as someone worth following. Not many people can take the life of someone they know and still hold their ground afterward. He totally gets that this was a tough choice. He watched Naruto grow up, after all. He realized just how close he had become to his teachers, the ones who had taught him so much. Zod walked into the cell and spotted Feora and Non. Just as he noticed Feora getting ready to send Jor-El's body to the sun, he jumped in to stop her. Hey Feora, can you give me a minute alone with my old friend? Feora caught Zod and Naruto chatting, so she nodded and headed out of the cell with Non. General Zod glanced at Jor-El's body. He didn't harbor any hatred for the guy. He was his oldest friend, and even though they had a clash of ideals, that disagreement wasn't enough to make him harm his friend. He was sitting in a chair, just staring at Jor-El's body. You really messed up. I'm curious about how things turned out this way. He talked with a heavy heart. Hey, just a quick note about General Zod. Before he lost it over Kal-El, he was actually a guy who really cared about Krypton. He had a good friendship with Jor-El too. It was the whole betrayal thing from Jor-El and his son that really pushed him over the edge. Feora really nailed it when she described General Zod. He was always like that, but things really spiraled when he lost it. He's typically a pretty reasonable guy. One thing I noticed while diving into Krypton and Superman is that a lot of Superman's enemies were actually a result of his own actions. Clark often had this naive perspective, which led him to unintentionally create more foes. A prime example of this is Lex Luthor. So, Lex Luthor, back in his teenage years, was always there for Clark, helping him out with pretty much everything. He was just super curious about Clark's secret, which honestly wasn't even that hard to figure out since Clark was using his powers all the time. So, what did Clark end up doing? He kept it hidden since he didn't really trust Lex, even though Lex was always there to help him. Back in the command chair, I said, give me a report. Hey there, we were able to get our hands on that mysterious item, but... My team member pressed a few buttons on her arm, and suddenly, a hologram popped up right in front of me. This wasn't just an item, it was full of life. I glanced at the hologram and spotted a monster towering over 2 meters. It had white skin, long limbs, and a hump lined with spines. The monster burst out of the egg it was in and began attacking the team I sent out. My team, being seasoned soldiers, quickly managed to corner the monster and trap it in an energy field. I noticed that they really stuck to my instructions, even though things took an unexpected turn. I can't help but raise my eyebrows when I see my subordinate screaming and clutching his head. It really seems like something has gone wrong in his mind. I'm digging through my memories, trying to recall details about this odd creature. You know, I've got the entire history of Krypton tucked away in my brain. It didn't take me long to stumble upon something interesting, a record of a race that possessed the power of telepathy. This power was pretty intense, able to totally transform a living being. The person wielding it could dive into the minds of sentient beings and make some serious changes to who they are. Absolutely. Any living being that can think, even just a little, can be affected by this power. Races with this kind of power are seen as really dangerous special individuals. Typically, when Kryptonians came across races that had this kind of power, they would send out ships armed with weapons of mass destruction to wipe those races out. This is the tale of Krypton when it was a powerful empire, running things with a strict dictatorship. I express my disapproval. While Krypton was indeed strong, we were depicted as a race that feared exceptional individuals from other civilizations in the universe. That notion is simply unfounded. What is the current status of the Kryptonian who experienced the attack? My lord, he was unconscious. We transported him to the recovery chamber, and the sensors indicate that he is 100% healthy. However, he has not yet regained consciousness. I expressed a slight frown upon hearing that. He remains unconscious due to a telepathic assault. The only individual capable of assisting this Kryptonian is this formidable entity. My subordinate displayed a brief moment of annoyance, yet quickly reverted to their typical stoic demeanor. This occurred in less than a second, but for me, it felt as though time had slowed down. Observing this, I found myself smiling slightly. It appears that the Kryptonians are beginning to exhibit emotions. I provide a brief explanation regarding this situation. It appears they're unfamiliar with the concept of telepathy. It is understandable that they may have their reasons. It has been quite some time since Kryptonians encountered a race of this nature. Telepathy is a formidable ability that can alter the thoughts of sentient beings with a single thought. The individual possessing this power has the ability to alter every aspect of a person, and that same individual can also wield this power to cause death with merely a thought. This represents a highly complex power to manage. I provided a concise overview of the situation. The Kryptonians of the past developed countermeasures for this power, known as a psychic energy neutralizing helmet. While the name is impressive, its utility is paramount. Recognizing their comprehension, I proceed. What transpired with this creature? Is there any information available regarding this matter? My team member adjusts a few controls, resulting in a change to the holographic image. DNA samples were collected from this organism, and our findings indicate that it appears to be a hybrid species of the inhabitants that resided on that planet. I examine the hologram displaying the monster's DNA. I understand that it possesses 2 distinct DNA systems within its body. These systems are in conflict with one another, yet simultaneously, they exist in harmony. It represents a unique DNA. This is intriguing. Krypton's technology enables us to determine the purity of a breed. This innovation was designed to distinguish between hybrids of 2 distinct alien species. What is the objective of this technology? The narrative delves into a darker theme, focusing on a Kryptonian, brother, race known as the Daxamites. The Kryptonians reject any notion of hybrids. We believe that this combination of DNA would reduce our race's potential. Therefore, we developed this technology to identify the hybrids and eliminate them. I reflect. My community exhibited some questionable decisions in the past. This machine served additional purposes beyond this application. This machine has been misused. However, it is designed to study the DNA of various species across the universe and is highly beneficial. For instance, my DNA comprises a singular system. Nonetheless, within that framework, My DNA encompasses the complete genetic information of the Kryptonians. Upon merging the codex with my DNA, the system evolved into a more robust entity, rendering it unclassifiable even by Kryptonian technology. Despite the complexity of my DNA, I remain a true Kryptonian. At this moment, this creature, I will refer to it as a Martian. Despite being the progeny of two species from the same planet, the Kryptonian system classified this Martian as a hybrid. This indicates that Mars was home to multiple similar yet distinct races. This is quite intriguing. It is evident that the races diverged and evolved distinctly at a certain stage in the planet's history. This divergence was substantial enough to result in the formation of different races. I observed the hologram before me, carefully analyzing the Martian genes and completing my memorization of the information. Once finished, I gesture to dismiss the hologram and inquire, are the expedition members all right? With the exception of the Kryptonian who is currently unconscious, all others are in good condition. A team member remarked while presenting the images of the Kryptonians that I had sent, depicting them at rest. Good. After the field reporting, I instructed, prepare the terraforming machines. We are set to transform Mars into Krypton. I require both machines to be operational in under 1 hour. Certainly, my lord. I observe General Zod as he enters the control room. Is there any pertinent information I should be aware of? I have disposed of Jor-El's body in the sun and removed all traces of his existence from the House El family tree. I acknowledge with a nod. General Zod, I would like you to oversee the Mars terraforming initiative. Your request is my command, my lord. I acknowledged with a nod and turned my attention to my subordinate. I would like robots to manufacture equipment in bulk to mitigate telepathic attacks. Will you oversee this process to ensure everything proceeds smoothly? Was that clear? With the resources currently at my disposal, I am capable of constructing 2,000 units. I can allocate these resources towards the development of the armor I plan to create in the future. I create a high-speed sketch of the helmet using the hologram and forward this sketch to my subordinate. Yes, Your Honor. Could you please clarify? I recognize that he has additional points to convey. I appreciate your interest. Please share your thoughts. All personnel in the cockpit direct their attention towards the subordinate. My lord, I would not presume to question your authority. She addressed the situation with a respectful demeanor while taking a step back. Please feel free to ask your question. I express in a neutral tone that I am not angry. I am interested to know what her response will be. I am inquiring about the production of these helmets. Do they serve any practical purpose? Ultimately, these items originate from the ancient Krypton Empire. Are they not considered obsolete? Rather than responding directly to her inquiry, I pose a question to the group. Today, we have acquired valuable knowledge. Can someone share what it is? I observed that there was a notable silence among everyone present. A few minutes later, there has still been no response to my inquiry. Is that it? It appears that my expectations were perhaps too high. They remain entrenched in traditional methods. It feels as though they have ceased to think independently and only respond when directed. I prefer not to have individuals functioning merely as automatons. I reflected on the sense of disappointment, acknowledging that it has only been a few weeks and that established customs can be challenging to alter. I believe that Fora's modifications have accelerated my progress somewhat. It appears that this will be an extended journey. Feora, who had been by my side throughout, suddenly remarked, an individual possessing telepathic abilities has succeeded in placing a Kryptonian into a coma. Indeed. I observe Feora with a sense of curiosity. Proceed. All eyes are on Feora, anticipating her next statement. Based on today's findings, an individual possessing significant telepathic abilities has the potential to breach the protective measures of Kryptonian armor, resulting in one of our soldiers falling into a coma. What measures can we implement to mitigate this? I inquire, with a smile. We developed a solution to safeguard us from that force. In the absence of this equipment, it is essential to implement precautions regarding the potential survivors of the race inhabiting Mars. We must develop contingency plans in the event that these survivors are alive and choose to engage in hostilities against us. My smile expands. It is experiencing rapid growth. I observe my subordinate. Does this answer your question? Certainly, my lord. I reassess everyone once more. My subordinate referred to this helmet as an ineffective and outdated item. All eyes were on me as the audience anticipated my next statement. This helmet provides protection against potential telepathic attacks. In my opinion, it is an essential item. The age of an item does not determine its value or utility. I rise from the command chair and state, we must not delude ourselves into believing we are invincible. As living beings, we possess weaknesses. It is my responsibility to recognize these vulnerabilities and devise countermeasures. As an emperor, I must always consider the future. What if, in the future, an adversary emerges with the capability to eliminate us through telepathy? What actions should we take? What strategies should I implement to safeguard my team from this adversary? Upon discovering that a Kryptonian is in a coma due to a telepathic attack, those were my initial thoughts. I took a deep breath and stated, it is my responsibility to remain consistently prepared. I must always consider the implications of my actions far into the future. If contemplating 100 steps ahead is insufficient, I must extend my foresight to 1,000 steps. Therefore, I require information, and I consistently emphasize the importance of not underestimating the capabilities of the barbaric races. We are the survivors of a once thriving community, currently limited in numbers, and it is imperative that we support one another until we regain our strength. I express this with consideration of empires that possess the capability to cause significant harm to us. The Kryptonian possesses enhanced strength under yellow sunlight, which is a well-established fact. However, in the event of an attack from an empire commanding over 1,000 worlds, what strategies should be employed to address this situation? On my own, I lack sufficiency. I possess strength, yet I cannot confront an intergalactic empire independently. Darkseid commands over 1,000 planets, which may harbor races capable of threatening Kryptonians. Darkseid is a formidable entity, and therefore, I must ensure I am adequately prepared. I exit the control room alongside Feora. Continue your efforts. Certainly, my lord. Do all my subordinates communicate with confidence? For a moment, I was taken aback. I could distinctly perceive heightened emotions in the voices of my subordinates. I offer a slight smile. It appears that I will not have to wait for an extended period. General Zod was taken aback. He was unaware that Naruto had such deep concerns regarding Krypton's future. This marked the first occasion on which he had encountered Naruto's reflections on their present circumstances. Your Majesty is truly remarkable, wouldn't you agree? The same subordinate who inquired about Naruto addressed him with a subtle smile on her face. General Zod observed all the members present nodding their heads, a subtle smile gracing his face, and he felt a renewed sense of astonishment. Is that a result of his charisma? In a matter of weeks, he successfully won over the indifferent hearts of these Kryptonians. He earned the respect of Jor-El. Not only did he earn her respect, but he also successfully engaged in a more intimate relationship with her. General Zod engaged in thoughtful consideration. Zod is well acquainted with Feora, as he was the individual who brought her onto his team. Through various missions, Zod recognized that Feora's personality is significantly distorted. She prefers to engage with less formidable opponents on the battlefield. He has observed Feora incapacitating less formidable opponents on the battlefield on multiple occasions. If it were solely that, he would not be as concerned. After incapacitating these individuals, Feora transported them to the torture chamber and dedicated considerable time to inflicting suffering upon them. Zod remains skeptical about Naruto's ability to tame this unpredictable individual. I brought her on board due to her alignment with my principles, but she proved to be quite difficult to manage. As an experienced warrior, he has encountered numerous grim realities on the battlefield, yet Feora's actions towards her enemies still left him feeling uneasy. However, in spite of these unique characteristics, she maintained her integrity and did not betray Krypton or harm any Kryptonian. As a result, he refrained from commenting on her actions. The conflict persisted, and although the approaches employed were severe, they proved to be highly effective. We have received orders. Let's return to our tasks. General Zod remarked with a subtle smile, unaware of the expression he was displaying. Certainly. Arthur's note. The explanation may be somewhat unclear, but it is important to distinguish between race and ethnicity. For instance, on Earth, there are individuals from the West and those from the East. From Krypton's perspective, Westerners and Orientals are not considered a distinct race. They are categorized as individuals of varying ethnic backgrounds. However, ultimately, their DNA remains that of a human, thus they are regarded as pure humans. Arthur's note. I observed that the personality of Feora closely resembles that of Esdeath. However, Feora exhibits a strong sense of patriotism, in contrast to Esdeath, who acted solely based on her own desires and possessed a distorted view of strength. I am navigating the corridors of my mothership alongside Feora and Non. I contemplate the Martian I plan to encounter. Contacting the captured Martian without any form of protection against his powers is illogical. I must devise a helmet for myself. Could you clarify the rationale behind designing this as a helmet-shaped device? I am currently narrowing my options. I proceed to the engineering room. Upon my entrance into the room, the Kryptonians employed as engineers acknowledge me with respect. Yes, my lord, they respond. Who holds the responsibility in this situation? I request in an impartial manner. It is I, my lord, one of the Kryptonians responds. I observe my subordinate, a female Kryptonian characterized by her long black hair and striking blue eyes. She possesses a demeanor reminiscent of seasoned warriors. Is everything in order here? I inquire. Certainly, my lord. Our capacity is currently limited due to the absence of an individual with advanced engineering expertise. However, we remain operational, she stated with respect. This issue will be addressed in the future as new generations emerge and when all Kryptonians have fully developed their abilities under the Yellow Sun. I affirm while nodding. I have concluded that I require skilled professionals in production sectors, such as engineers and scientists. My team consists of exceptional individuals. However, they lack advanced expertise in these specific areas. Upon exposure to the Yellow Sun, I experienced several changes in my body, with the most significant being the enhancement of my cognitive abilities. I am now able to learn new information more efficiently. By reviewing text at an accelerated pace, I can comprehend and retain the material effectively. This appears to be a fundamental skill possessed by all Kryptonians. If all my subordinates had mastered their abilities, I could leverage them to acquire new knowledge in those areas. However, that is a consideration for the future. I must still acknowledge the potential risks associated with an untrained Kryptonian interacting with the Yellow Sun. I maintained composure and clarity with my new senses, thanks to my exceptional control over my body. Even Feora, despite her considerable talent, required time to master her powers and control them to prevent any damage to the ship. I observe my subordinate once more, noting her blue eyes fixed on me as if seeking something from me. Recognizing her desires, I respond. Continue the excellent efforts. I understand that your job performance may not meet expectations, considering your role as a warrior. I appreciate your commitment to advocate on my behalf, but please allow me a few years to consider this matter further. My subordinate widens her eyes and takes a deep breath. I will look forward to that day. I eagerly anticipate the moment when I will vanquish the adversaries of my lord. Indeed, isn't she quite honest? I observe her once more and note that she is breathing heavily while regarding me with a serious expression. This observation is noteworthy. She appears to express her emotions openly. This is intriguing. All Kryptonians are undergoing changes due to my influence, but are certain individuals experiencing these changes at a quicker pace than others? Had she always been this way? Could you please share your name? I am Litha Tob Lan, she stated with respect. Litha, is it? I assess her once more, this time focusing on the minutest details. Are you interested in engaging in combat? I inquire with her. Absolutely, she responded with resolve. What motivates your interest in combat? Please provide your honest opinion. I take great satisfaction in engaging in combat, particularly when facing a formidable opponent. The sense of accomplishment is heightened when I emerge victorious from such a challenging encounter. She articulated her words while breathing heavily and shifting restlessly. I experience a slight smile upon grasping a concept. Litha exhibits a strong enthusiasm for combat. This is not an unfamiliar situation. When engaged in multiple conflicts, Kryptonians often develop unusual characteristics. Feora Jor-El exemplifies this phenomenon. Her extensive experience in numerous conflicts has led to a peculiar trait. She derives pleasure from inflicting torment on her adversaries. Your Excellency, I have a request to present. As I contemplated my next steps, I listened to Feora's remarks. I observed Feora with a sense of intrigue, Could you please specify your order? I observe Feora directing her attention towards my subordinate with a noticeable interest. I would like to take her on as a disciple, as I believe that with my guidance, she has the potential to develop into someone remarkable. A sadist and a woman with a passion for combat, what outcomes can be anticipated from this combination? I find myself smiling slightly at that thought. Prior to accepting Feora's request, I inquired of Litha, where did you serve previously? I was a member of a small Krypton squad, which primarily engaged in minor missions rather than extensive combat. I aspired to participate in the significant conflicts under the leadership of General Zod. As a result, I arranged a meeting with him, and since we shared similar ideals, I began to follow his lead. However, he consistently assigned me infiltration tasks. I expressed a desire to engage in combat on the battlefield. She provided a concise summary of her story, and I observed Non nodding his head, indicating a sense of familiarity with her. No. I recall an eager recruit that General Zod brought on board. He stated that he refrained from placing her on the battlefield due to concerns that her recklessness could lead to her demise. As a result, he assigned her low-level infiltration missions involving less formidable adversaries, anticipating that she would develop her skills through these tasks. I raise my hand and engage several controls on my armor, subsequently displaying all the missions in which Litha has participated. To penetrate and eliminate the Tamaran operational base? Acquiring confidential information regarding the Green Lantern Corps? Is Zod's judgment lacking in accuracy? She was unable to complete these missions without sound judgment. I observe Litha as she slightly turns her face, suggesting a sense of embarrassment. Is she concealing her abilities? When engaged in multiple battlefields, a Kryptonian develops unique traits in their personality, yet they consistently operate based on logic and reason. This statement is factual. This is an immutable aspect, as they were designed in this manner. The exceptions to this rule are the Kryptonians raised by the noble houses, as they experienced greater freedom compared to those in lower society. Some individuals retained their emotions. Jor-El exemplifies this characteristic. The young woman exhibited a tendency to be bothersome, frequently displaying a smile that suggested she was unaffected by the harsh realities of a society like Krypton. I observe Litha once more. She appears to be concealing something. I review her previous records and discover that she belongs to a once prominent noble family. Now I comprehend her behavior. As a noblewoman, despite her family's loss of privileges, she was raised in an environment akin to that of Jor-El. I offer a slight smile. A fierce warrior, driven by a tumultuous history and the legacy of a fallen noble. This presents a concerning scenario. I anticipate that she will endeavor to demonstrate her capabilities to attain her goals. However, if I incorporate the strength she will gain from the Yellow Sun along with the rational judgment she possesses, she has the potential to become a formidable warrior in the future. With Feora's training, could Litha potentially rise to the rank of general? This is intriguing. I observe Feora. Permission has been granted. I would like you to provide her with training. Yes, my lord, Feora replied, offering a subtle, icy smile. I observe Litha. Litha Tablan, effective immediately, you are appointed as Feora's disciple. Thank you, Your Excellency, she stated with resolve. I approach Litha and place my hand on her shoulder. Please prioritize your safety. I provide a brief notice. Excuse me. I continue walking, disregarding Litha, who appeared perplexed by my remarks. I find it unnecessary to communicate further with her, as she will soon come to understand the significance of my words on her own. As I stand before a holographic device, I begin to implement modifications to the initial helmet I created. At first, I considered designing a helmet-shaped protection. However, I soon recognized that this approach was constraining my possibilities. I shattered the holographic helmet with a deliberate hand gesture, retaining only the primary device designed to safeguard the mind against telepathic assaults. Upon conducting a brief study of the device, I uncovered several insights. This technology operates on a straightforward principle. A force field is generated around the user's head, effectively blocking any form of energy from penetrating and inflicting harm on the user's mind. Although it may appear straightforward, its practical application proves to be quite challenging. This type of helmet hinders communication between individuals through technology. Due to this limitation, The ancient Kryptonians utilized this helmet exclusively during personal encounters with races capable of telepathy. The technology of Krypton has advanced significantly, eliminating such issues. I will proceed to redesign the device and enhance its protective capabilities. The helmet achieves a 100% improvement in efficiency relative to its predecessor. After completing the technological adjustments, I will begin designing a new concept. I am planning something straightforward, such as a crystal integrated into the armor, casual attire, and so forth. I start tweaking the device's structure, and before long, a little blue crystal appears on the hologram. Hey there! The tech efficiency has shot up by 100%, and it's super manageable in any Kryptonian outfit. Do you think I should tweak the clothes and armor made in the future? No worries, I designed it for immediate use, so just go ahead and start producing the crystal. I'm talking to the artificial intelligence. Sure thing, my lord. You know, when you really think about it, this could be a great opportunity. Let's kick off a new project. I'm all about artificial intelligence. Sure thing. Hey there, what's the name of the project? I bring up the hologram once more and check out the basic design of the Kryptonian armor. I can hear someone trying to reach out to me, but I just let it go. I glance at the armor hologram in front of me and can't help but smile a little. Kryptonian Solar Armor Project. What's the Lord up to? Nan asked with curiosity. Feora glanced over at Naruto. He's making some new armor. Nan rested his chin on his hand and began to ponder something seriously. Feora just brushes it off. No, she stands up and presses a few buttons on her armor. General Zod. A hologram shows General Zod's image. Feora, do you know where the Emperor is? I can't seem to get in touch with him. Feora glances over at Naruto. He's a bit tied up at the moment, she replies. Oh, I get it, he probably just overlooked the communicator. Zod figures it out. Hey Feora, could you let the Emperor know we need to discuss something important? Feora lifts her eyebrows slightly. What do you need to tell him? Zod glanced at Feora, caught in a moment of hesitation. He debated whether to share his thoughts, but then he recalled the connection between Feora and Naruto. Finally, he spoke up. While looking into the Kal-El spacecraft, we discovered a signal pointing towards the northern part of Earth. Hey, that signal is definitely Kryptonian. And check out the image of the place. We've actually found a Krypton spacecraft. Zod shares the images of the location with Feora. Feora cracks her eyes open just a bit, but before long, her usual icy expression comes back. Could this be Jor-El's doing? Considering that guy, I think it could totally happen. Before he became that, he was a really smart guy. He must have sent something to help his son on this wild planet. This is kind of odd. What's going on? Why can't we locate this ship with our scanners? Feora inquired. Jor-El is such a brilliant inventor. Do you think he might have come up with something to mess with the scanners? Zod said something. Maybe. Feora said as she pondered it. I'll let Naruto know. Great. This info is currently classified. Not many folks are aware of it, and I really hope it stays that way. Zod ends the call. Feora frowned slightly at Zod's warning. She gets that this is important information. After all, Jor-El wouldn't send anything that wasn't useful to his son. Whatever Jor-El sent to this planet must be really important, and because of that, Zod has classified this information as confidential. Feora wasn't a fan of the way Zod sounded when he warned her. Feora didn't quite get that Zod always talked to her that way since she was his subordinate. Zod hasn't changed, but she is changing, and she really didn't appreciate Zod's attitude towards her. Feora took a moment to ponder the discomfort she was feeling, but since she couldn't pinpoint what was causing it, she figured it was best to just let it go for now. As I wrap up the first model of the solar armor, it hits me just how much time I've poured into this project. I've got to make sure I stay on top of my responsibilities. My lord, there's something that needs your attention, Feora said while walking over to me. I glance at her and say, go on. We discovered a Kryptonian signal north of Earth while studying the Kal-El spacecraft. So, it looks like the images from the spot reveal that the signal is coming from a Kryptonian spacecraft. Feora presses a couple of buttons on her armor, and before I know it, an image pops up. This makes me frown a bit. Jor-El. Seems like he really wouldn't want his son heading off to a wild planet without some extra safety measures, right? So, first off, he sent Kara Jor-El to look out for his son. Putting aside this girl's knack for looking after a baby, she's pretty clever, and with her Kryptonian genes, she could probably hold her own on this planet. It seems like Jor-El wasn't quite happy with the situation, so he decided to send something else to keep his son safe. Was he really that worried about his son? How did he manage to find the time to send something that huge to this planet? It took him a while to get Kal-El out of there, right? Then there was that whole thing with stealing the codex with me, and getting Kal-El ready on that little ship. Not to mention the time it took to blow up Krypton. It just doesn't add up. The time feels way too short, and something seems off. From what I know, it seems like he must have known for quite a while that Krypton was going to blow up. With that knowledge, he definitely took steps to make sure Kal-El was safe. I reach out to General Zod. My lord, so, how long do you think it'll take for Mars to be all set for terraformation? I'm asking. Zod glances around for a moment before focusing back on me. Considering how the planet is set up and what will happen once the operation kicks off, I believe that in about 6 months, Mars is going to turn into Krypton. 6 months. That's really just a blink of an eye. This process typically takes a while. You know, I feel like the time has been cut down a bit because Mars is just smaller than ancient Krypton and those other planets that Krypton transformed over the years. Hey, great job. Can you get a ship ready for me? I'm heading to this location. It's going to be me, Feora, Non, and 5 other Kryptonians in the group. I hang up and begin to stroll toward the exit. I take a moment to glance at Litha. Hey Feora, let's bring your disciple along for this mission. Let's find out what skills she might be keeping under wraps. Knowing Jor-El, he probably rigged this ship with some pretty deadly traps. I mean, the guy was really smart. These traps will help me check out Litha's skills. Absolutely, my lord. Stay tuned. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.